Hey guys, it's Sarah from Just My Typewriter, and I'm back to talk about cheap typewriter accessories. If you've been around here before, you'll know that I love typewriter accessories. I love anything that is branded as typewriter themed, typewriter outfits. I'm wearing a typewriter dress today. I have been looking at those typewriter shoes from the Hot Chocolate brand. If I had an extra $100, I would be buying them. But I love typewriter themed products, and what I really like to do is check how accurate they are in picturing typewriters, looking like a typewriter, or feeling like a typewriter. And today we're gonna go through a bunch of cheap ones that I found recently and kind of go through how like a typewriter they are. Hey guys, it's Sarah. It's January 20th. I'm in the middle of editing this video, but I wanted to pop in and do a quick little disclaimer. Today's the day that my ultrasonic video came out, and one of the comments I got was that I shouldn't be buying cheap products and testing them on my channel because it's not always the best quality representation. And I completely understand that feedback and agree in a lot of cases. This video does contain some cheap products, but this is for entertainment value and for entertainment purposes. And if there's stuff in here that you like, that's up to you to make those decisions as a consumer. So I want to thank everybody for that feedback and just kind of put that little disclaimer here. This is for entertainment value here. It's fun to talk about some of this stuff, and that's why I do these videos. And I also thought I'd include a video of the cat. Thanks so much, guys. So let's start with the typewriter keyboard. Careful not to break the Lego. So this is the Prime Connect typewriter keyboard. I was actually in Five Below looking for cat toys of all things, and I walked in the door and immediately saw a display for this typewriter keyboard. It says typewriter keyboard on it, so it's kind of hard not to pick it up, especially when it's only $10. Now, typically Five Below has products that are $5 and below, but they do have a more upscale section now that they've added to Five Below stores, which include products that are $10 and up. So this is a $10 typewriter keyboard. It is a Bluetooth keyboard, which is a little bit different than some of the keyboards we've tried before. Now, I've done quite a few typewriter keyboard reviews on this channel before. I've had some success and some that I didn't like so much. As I continue to use some of these typewriter keyboards, I found things on them that I like in some over than others. I tested that wired $10 keyboard from Amazon a little while ago. I think it was from No Squat. I took it into my office and used that at my computer at my desk, and I have found that I hate using that keyboard. In my review, I kind of liked it for the price. I thought it was a good enough option, especially for $10. But as I've used it more and more, I find that the key shapes are impossible. They are so close together that I'm always hitting the wrong key, especially as I grow out my nails. I have just decided that keyboard has not worked for me, so I've now taken my Quirky Writer keyboard into work to replace that keyboard. I've also tried some higher end keyboards like the Quirky Writer and the Fine Day keyboard. I have enjoyed those products, but I'm always looking for a cheap kind of dupe because I'm not the kind of person who needs a Bluetooth keyboard. If I'm gonna get one, I want it to be typewriter themed, but I don't wanna sink a ton of money into it just because I won't use it very often. So this is a Bluetooth keyboard, which means it is not wired. It will attach to your phone using Bluetooth connectivity. It does require one AA battery. That is not included in the package, so you do have to get your own battery. Good news, Five Below also has batteries, so it's a one-stop shop for that. It did come in two colors. The pink one is sold out online, but I pulled this pink one because it reminded me kind of the pink Smith Coronas and the pink Quiet Deluxes, and I thought that'd be kind of fun to try. They do give me a little 2-page pamphlet with warnings about how this could cause cancer, and one little section that says in order to connect, you have to hit a function key. Where does it say that? Or did I make that up? Connecting the wireless keyboard. Put in the AA battery. Switch on the on switch, there's an on-off switch, and then you have to hit the function and delete key at the same time in order to get it to connect to Bluetooth, and then you'll be able to connect it into your phone's Bluetooth section under your settings. That has actually been a big complaint of mine with these Bluetooth keyboards, is that the Bluetooth is not intuitive. When I turn on my Quirky Writer S, there's a button on the back that allows me to turn on the Bluetooth, and that's really easy to use. But some of these cheaper ones require some sort of key move. We've had that on quite a few of them now, and I really dislike that because it isn't connecting in any other way. There's not like a cable that it's connecting to my computer. In order to get it to use Bluetooth, I should just have to turn it on because that's the only way it'll type. So I had a a lot of trouble connecting this typewriter keyboard specifically with Bluetooth. I had to turn on and off my Bluetooth a couple times. I had to try that function delete trick a few times, turn it off, turn it back on. It took me a good 5-6 minutes to get this to connect to my Bluetooth, but once I had it connected, it did operate normally. I do like this keyboard. I like the keys on this specifically. They are that round shape, which is often associated with a typewriter design. However, these are a little bit further apart than the ones on that $10 no squat keyboard, so I do prefer that on this machine. It is a little bit easier for me to type without hitting a bunch of keys at once. It does have a fully functioning number row along with all those extra function keys on them to turn up and down your music, to skip songs. The space bar is a little bit louder than the other keys. That is something I've noticed on quite a few of these Bluetooth keyboards. The keys themselves never sound like typewriters, but the space bar has always sounded different than the other keys on the keyboard. In fact, here is a sound test. I will say that some of the keyboards have mechanical switches. The Fine Day keyboard and Quirky Writer have mechanical switches, which honestly really help create more of that clicking sound while typing. It is nowhere near the sound of a typewriter, but it's a little bit louder, a little bit easier to discern. This keyboard specifically has a very dampened sound. So if you like the look of a typewriter, but you don't want to be too loud, I find sometimes the loud keyboards can make me feel really self-conscious about my typing. This is a very muted sound to the keyboard compared to some of those other ones. The platen knobs on here raise and lower the feet. We've had that on a few typewriter keyboards before as well. And it does have a slot here across the top for you to put in your device. And it does kind of have that typewriter style to it that we've seen in a few other keyboards. I think the Acto keyboard looked kind of similar to that as well with the flat top design. However, this is probably the thinnest phone channel rest section I've ever encountered on one of these keyboards. I cannot fit my phone into this for the life of me. And it's also straight up and down. I find the ones that are a little bit angled set the phone at a better position for me to see and type at, more like a laptop screen. I never have my laptop straight up in front of me. It's always angled back a little bit. So I do find that this tray is just not as useful as some of the other keyboards I've tried. However, for 10 bucks, it works. It's not that bad of a find, and it's a lot cheaper than some of the other typewriter themed Bluetooth keyboards out there on the market. You do get what you pay for. It is a piece of plastic. It may not last very long, but if you're looking for something that's just kind of cute and you don't need to have like a really sophisticated, well-built keyboard, this is not a bad buy. On to the next typewriter accessory, which means we're gonna have to set change. Here we have a typewriter puzzle. This has been on the typewriter Facebook groups quite a few times. It has 750 pieces to it. That is a lot of puzzle pieces if you are not a puzzle person. I am not a puzzle person. But it was only, I think, $18, $17 when I bought it on Amazon, which is not bad for a well-designed puzzle. I myself have actually not put this together. As you can see, it is still in the bag inside the box. But it does make a little Remington design, and they do have the final picture here if you'd like to see what it looks like. It's also on the box, and it has all the pieces contained in the box. It is a nice quality puzzle. All the pieces look like they are shaped well. Sometimes I find with puzzles, you'll get a new one and there will be cardboard that's just not cut right and it doesn't fit exactly together. This seems to be a pretty well-made puzzle, especially for that price. If you're looking for some sort of typewriter accessory or something to do, this is not a bad option. I myself do not think I will be putting this together because I've had it for like 3 years and still haven't done it. I just do not have the patience for a puzzle, which is ironic because I collect typewriters. Another thing I've been really interested in testing more recently is air dusters. I use an air compressor to clean out my machine, so I will spray it down with mineral spirits, go in with compressed air and clean out those cleaners. It's a great way to get dust removed from a machine by using something that's a little less invasive, and I don't like using vacuums because I'm so afraid I'm gonna suck up a spring into the machine. So I've been really interested in using little air dusters. I've tried quite a few off of Amazon. I was just sent one by a company to try out. And I found this USB mini vacuum cleaner while at the Dollar Tree and thought I'd give this a try. So this is a USB mini vacuum. It does need plugged in to turn on, so it doesn't have a battery component anywhere in it. You need to plug it into a USB charger to plug in and get it to work. I find that rather limiting because this is how long your cord is. It's not very long, and if you're working on a typewriter and you're expecting to use this to clean it, this will not get you very far. It's cute, and I did test it on cleaning up a few things. So I tried it here with some coffee grounds. This is what I like to test a lot of my air dusters with. I think it's super visual and easy to see. I spilled out some coffee grounds on my table to see how well this vacuum worked, and big surprise, not super great. It does vacuum and it does have a little bit of airflow in it, but you can even hear that the fan in there is not very strong. And it is trying to suck up things. I found it worked a little bit better when you could spread out the clumps of coffee grounds a little bit further from each other. It will not take from that large pile. It works better when things are on their own. Eventually I had to bring in a real air duster vacuum to actually vacuum up the rest of them to clean up. I will say I do like the power button on this. It's super easy to understand. One of the air dusters I'm testing right now, it's really confusing how to turn it on. There is one button on this that turns it on and turns it off. And I do like that you can detach this front section by just clicking a button at the front. It allows you to remove your plastic section up here at the front and clean it, and also empty your air duster. It also has a filter on it. This is something I'm seeing in a lot of little portable vacuums. They have a filter on it to keep dust from getting inside your fan and messing up your fan, gunking it up. So I do like that they at least have a filter in there so you know it's going to be protecting the internals. It's cute, not very useful. In fact, I don't even think that I would use this to clean a keyboard. I just don't think it's powerful enough to really get into those nooks and crannies and clean out any dust. It's an interesting idea, but I think that there are better air duster options for typewriter cleaning on Amazon for under $30. I've linked a few down in the description that I've tested and do like. The ones that have multiple settings for how powerful seem to be more effective at cleaning out. When you get anything that has part vacuum on it, part air duster, you are going to be using a similar fan for both. That's just not very powerful on the air duster side, so I encourage you to get one that is just an air duster, but those are pretty easy to find. They're also USB chargeable, and they often don't need to be like a cord's length away from a charger, so I do find those to be way more useful. Now on to kind of the main event here. I have seen the Lego typewriter posted on the typewriter repair groups and collectors groups so many times. It seems to be the item that a lot of people go to as a typewriter accessory. It makes sense. People who like to play around with typewriters might be a little bit more mechanical, might be methodical, and they might enjoy building things. So the Lego typewriter has been something I've seen quite a few times. It is retiring out of the Lego line pretty soon, so a lot of people have gone around and kind of snapped those up. I do see them on Shop Goodwill every once in a while, but I don't have the money laying around to buy the official typewriter Lego set from Lego. So I have found some other options that are typewriter Lego sets or non-Lego sets and have decided to give them a try. I will say, I'm not a Lego person, and I learned that recently. So I have here two options from Amazon. This first one is the Engine Brick Typewriter Building Set, and this one goes for about $23. I think I bought it when it was on Prime Day at around $17. And then this other set over here is the DHOD NQP 820 pieces retro typewriter building block set, and this one was also around $25. Now I have had these sets for a while and have never put them together until I was working on this video. I like the idea of having a Lego typewriter. Obviously, it is not going to work. It is more of a display item, and I think that can be really interesting to look at, but I had never sat down and tried to build one of them. The first one I bought was actually this typewriter piece here. On the box, it says a totally different brand name, and you might see multiple listings for something like this. It does pop up. It's one of those like drop shipped items that's kind of a knockoff of the Lego brand typewriter. It does say on the website that it's 820 pieces, and on here it says, how many pieces? I don't know, it's all in Japanese. I haven't even opened it yet. And then I have over here another one. This is the engine brick. This also doesn't say how many pieces it is. Because this box was smaller, I decided to sit down and try to build the engine brick typewriter, and that was interesting. So when you're looking at the instructions, and I know that this is a Lego thing, they do have them as visual instructions, which is great because a lot of the text inside of these boxes is actually in Chinese or Japanese. So that can be kind of confusing because they're coming from other places. So there are no physical directions to read. It is all pictorial based. And that really tested my brain while I was trying to put this together. There are so many tiny little pieces, and some of the bricks have open circles on the top or closed circles on the top, and that can determine the difference between the right piece and the wrong piece. It took me about 3 hours to put together this little yellow typewriter, and I'll be honest, I still don't think it's together right because there are parts of it that are kind of bent, like the paper roller across the top here is bent a little bit. The platen knob comes out. It's not even in there. Like if I were to move this for any reason, this does fall out. And we had a couple meltdowns while putting it together because it might have fallen apart a few times after I'd already put it together. I do have some extra pieces left over. I could not for the life of me figure out where they went. I went back through the directions, could not see any places where they belonged in the directions, and so I found that pretty frustrating, although that's also pretty on par with how I do typewriter repair. I always have leftover pieces. So I found that kind of odd, and I am missing one white cap here for the top. It's not that I lost it, it just wasn't included. I do find that as a risk. It has in the box that if you were missing any pieces, there is a contact number. I would find that pretty frustrating if you went to build this and you were missing a piece. That does happen because there are so many little pieces in here. One thing that I did find kind of frustrating is that these blocks are super shallow. I am used to Legos being a little bit thicker. I had a big tub of them as a kid and they were like the thick brick kinds. These ones are really shallow, and so the little circles that connect to each other are also really shallow, and it can lead to pieces not sticking together very well because there's not a ton of connection space. I found that very frustrating because it'll very easily fall out of place as you're putting it together because it's not connecting super well. So I had leftover parts. It didn't stay together very well. It does kind of look like a typewriter, but we're missing some features here, like a second platen knob on the other side. It does have like just this weird little arm sticking out of the side. I'm not sure if that is supposed to be like a ribbon changer, direction changer, ribbon reverse. I don't really know what it's for, and you can put stickers on all the keys, but I gave up before I got to that part. I found the process of putting it together not difficult, semi-frustrating, but I think most of my frustrations came from the physical bricks themselves, but that's what you get with a knockoff brand of any kind of product. I will not be attempting this one though. Someone else can be brave and try that because I'm not doing that again. What I think is interesting about typewriter products in general is that there has been an interest in looking at them as kind of a resurgence of retro. There is a style associated with this, and we talked about this with the Fine Day keyboard. There's kind of this retro aesthetic that is coming back into, popular culture, and typewriters are heavily involved in that style shift. We're seeing products like Legos making typewriters. We're seeing typewriter themed keyboards or typewriter themed fashion. And I think all of that is really interesting to see, this resurgence of vintage as an aesthetic. So you're gonna have a lot of products out there that are typewriter themed that might be interesting to you. And these are just a few that I wanted to try because they were on the cheaper end of things. A lot of designer groups or designer brands are also making typewriter themed products. There's a Betsy Johnson typewriter purse going around, a Kate Spade typewriter purse. So there is kind of this mass market appeal of looking at typewriters, and you get them at the designer brand level, but also at this like cheap drop shipped product level. And that seems to be where my price range ends up being. So thanks so much for joining me, guys. If you're interested in more typewriter content, I do have some other videos on this YouTube channel as well as an Instagram at just.my.typewriter. I want to thank you all so much for watching and remind you, you're just my type writer.